welcome and thank you for being here. I'm Dave Goldberg, President and CEO of the Investor Source. Thrilled to have my friend and a longtime lender with the Investor Source, Daryl Stolte, here with us today. So welcome, Daryl.
Thanks. Good to talk with you.
Yeah, great to have you here. Most of our conversation today is going to be geared towards making loans and what are the types of loans that private lenders look for so that our borrowers know when they come to us what things about the deals are we looking for to make it a good loan and make it the best chance of having the loan be funded. So let's just dive right into it and just talk about you a little bit, Daryl. I know besides the lending you do with us, you are a real estate investor as well and have your hands into many different aspects of real estate. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got interested in private lending also?
Yeah, so my wife and I didn't really get into real estate. We started about 8 years ago and didn't really get started until, we were not working full time anymore. So we were kind of retired or semi-retired. And what we were looking to do is to, diversify our investments a little bit, right? So we took some classes on real estate investing and things like that. And a lot of times those classes are kind of set for people who don't really have lots of capital to work with, right? We were in the enviable position of having some money to place. And so one of the things that made sense was lending. Although that's not usually one of the things they first teach you in a typical real estate, class about what to do. So we definitely, we've acquired a lot of properties from the stamp for long-term buy and holds. And we've done that both individually and also in partnerships. So we have this portfolio of long-term buy and holds. But our goal was to generate cash that we could live off of. And it does take a while to acquire properties, and properties don't make money every year. And so by doing the lending, that can generate a pretty consistent cash flow that you can actually spend versus a rental house, which it's a great investment typically, especially when things are going up like they are, but that money is illiquid. It's sitting there. You cannot really spend it easily. So I find that having, being able to do rentals and invest in the lending piece and, lend money is kind of a nice 1-2 punch, so to speak.
Cool. I guess the word that comes to mind is synergistic. It seems like your lending activities and your ownership of real estate really do work well together. I don't know too many who are so active as you are in both sides, but
yeah, and I think it's a couple of things. One thing I spoke to is being able to generate some cash, good cash flow. But the other thing is, because you've actually done some real estate work, you can see the borrower's point of view and many times too, right? We haven't done tons of rehab, but we've done some. So we have some feeling for what that is. We have some idea of what it takes to get financing and things like that. So we can somewhat step into to our borrower's shoes from time to time. So I think that's also synergistic.
Yeah, what a great idea, folks, to have an empathetic lender working with you on your projects.
Right.
Same with me. I've been through as an investor too, and we like to say we know the hurdles and the pitfalls that you all face. So it's not just a lender who has never kind of been in the trenches. Daryl obviously has. Daryl also, one of the reasons I brought on Daryl, we work with a multitude of private lenders. And Daryl, besides being a great friend and just a really good person, is also someone who lends with us in 3 different ways. He makes loans on his own in which he fully funds a deal by himself. He also works with a lending group, which he calls Boulder Lenders, and they kind of pool their funds together to be able to fund larger deals. And Daryl also invests in our private lending fund, which is a pooled fund of investments from many different lenders. But with all of those, Daryl, and this is a little bit of a plug for Investor Source, you've chosen not to make loans with, you've chosen to make loans using the services of a company like ours. Quickly, could you tell us what have you found the advantages are of using a service like ours rather than doing it directly on your own?
Yeah. So I've done 2 loans directly. And what that means is that, you have to find someone who needs money. You need to do all the due diligence on that person, from the finances. What does the deal look like? What's the value of the property? What's the after repair value of the property? Underwrite the loan, escrow funds, give funds out, do lien waivers, make sure they pay.
Work with title companies.
Work with a title company. There is a lot of, not only is there a lot of work to do, but there's a lot of expertise. And so I am sure that I didn't do everything I should have done on that loan. So for instance, I didn't do lien waivers. So that was not a good, it's pretty important that's an important step. I got away with it on that loan. So everything went fine and it was okay. But I think what I learned from that is, one is it is a lot of work, and there was a lot of expertise. So I wasn't really willing to do all that work. So when I found you and you were willing to do the work, it was good, right? And because I'm not marketing my money and trying to find people and do all that kind of work. That's not my thing. I'm perfectly happy to do all the analytics, but there's an awful lot of work that goes into making sure that you have a good loan that has, kind of understood risks.
Yeah, absolutely. If you ever looked at our kind of process list, I would say without exaggeration, there are over 100 steps that we go through every loan just to make sure we don't miss anything. It's so much.
Yeah.
And as I tell people, if I weren't doing this full time, there is no way I'd be making loans myself and going through all those steps. It's just good to have somebody on your side taking care of all that.
Yeah.
So let's go right into the, what we primarily came here for is looking at what makes a good deal in the eyes of a lender. Can you tell us, when either you or your group is looking at a loan, Daryl, what are the key elements you're looking for that make you say, yes, this is a loan that we really want to fund?
Yeah, I think there's 3 main things that we look at. The first thing is we look at the borrower. And I think one of the most important things about a borrower is their experience. Are they doing something that they've done before, right? Are they flipping a house? Have they flipped houses before? How many have they done? What kind of money did you make on those? Where were those done, right? It's the old, hey, history can help you predict the future when it comes to that. So the borrower's expertise is important. I think the borrower's finances are important. It doesn't mean that you have to be immensely wealthy or have some kind of amazing credit score, but you do have to have, things often don't go perfectly the way you plan. So you do need to have some reserves in place. So I think that is important too. And the other thing is how is the person to work with, right? Are they willing to do a little give and take, that kind of thing. So So I think the borrower is, one of the three things that's really important. The second thing would be the property itself. Where is the property? What is it worth now? What is it going to be worth later? What's the environment? We've been sort of up and to the right for so many years. You got to remember that at some point it's not going to be going crazy. So, where is it? Is it in a place? Right now it's like anything seems to be,
Right.
going to be fine almost, right? But that's not normally true, right? So, where's the property located? Will it be able to be resold? Things like that. So, and then the third thing is kind of, I guess what I would say is sort of the deal. How do the numbers line up? What's the ARV? What's the budget? Is the budget reasonable? Is there room for the borrower to pay for the money that they're going to use? So kind of the numbers of the deal, because if there's some margin in the deal, meaning you're going to make, it's not like you're going to squeak by and just make enough to make it worthwhile. But if it's a good deal where there's kind of good margin in there, then if something doesn't go quite right, then things are going to be okay, right? You don't want something that's so razor thin that you don't have options if things don't go exactly. You go over budget and you're not making money. Okay, well, now the bank won't loan or whatever it is, right? And then, are there multiple exit strategies? So those are I guess those are the three main things that I kind of look for when I'm evaluating a loan.
Yeah, those are all great points. But when you talk about working on a razor thin profit margin, I think one thing that's so easy to overlook when you're doing a deal is that the money costs, and particularly as time goes by. If your deal's going to take a year and you are paying a lender like, a hard money lender where rates are not, they are what they are, but they're not cheap. And if you don't take into account those money costs and give yourself a little cushion and time, profit can get eaten up really quickly. So just because there's a spread between what you're buying it and what you're selling it, $40,000 or $50,000, that can get chewed up very quickly by not taking into account the costs of money. So, and I also appreciate how the borrower, some people think that when you're lending or when you're in the hard money business, all you look at is the strength of the deal, which of course is so important. But you want to.
The most important thing is the person going to do what they say they're going to do?
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how good the property is. If the person can't execute on the thing, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So to me, it's almost like that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have told people a number of times when we have a discussion about hard money that the deals that we've had the biggest challenges with, and every deal has little things that come up. If you are working with good people, both from the lender side and from the borrower side, you can usually find a way to make things work and work things out. But if the people in the process are not good people and are not reasonable people on both sides, and we do work as a team, but if it's not good people on both sides, that's where the problems tend to be more insurmountable. So good people obviously are always the ones that we all want to work with. Yeah, thank you. So to kind of wrap things up, Daryl, if someone's coming to you and they're looking for just kind of final tips on what is it that I need to bring to a lender that is going to ensure that the lender is going to fund my deal, do you have a tip or a few? I mean, you've mentioned a number of them already, but maybe just to kind of summarize, what's going to put you over the top for funding a deal?
You know, I think have people being prepared and have really worked through the, you know, the deal and have thought about some of the things that might be a contingency, meaning, okay, well, you know, you think it's going to take 9 months. What if it takes 12 months? What does that look like? You know, do you have enough money in reserves, that, like you said, to pay the interest? If it goes over, you know, have you put a contingency in there, 10% or 15% contingency for the rehab or something, in case something doesn't happen that's exactly right? So, you know, when I talk to borrowers, if I can stump you in 2 or 3 questions, then the answer is probably no, right? So if I ask like, okay, so let's say it takes 3 more months, what's going to happen? And you don't have an answer for that, well, that's not good, right? So I think it's really being prepared. And that's where, if people have experience, then they tend to have seen some of these things. And so it doesn't mean that we never lend to anyone who doesn't have any experience, but if they don't have experience, they better have some people working with them who kind of know what they're doing and do have that experience. So I think, I think being prepared, understanding the budget, those sorts of things are really important.
Awesome.
The other thing I will say, which is slightly off topic, but I think one of the benefits of working with Investor Source is that, I say, hey, really be prepared and all this kind of stuff. But you may come to Investor Source and you don't have all the answers, but you want to get started and you want to, sort of try to help work through this. As you work through this and go through some budget iterations and things like that, one of the advantages of working with Investor Source is they'll tell you if you don't have a very good deal, right? If you come ill-prepared, they'll go, hey, go back and answer this. And if you can't, or if the numbers don't line up, then they've done you a favor because it's probably a deal that you shouldn't do, So I think there's a huge benefit to bringing, projects to Investor Source, because that's one thing they can help you with. It's like, is there a good chance? Because if they lend you money, they think that there's a really good chance you're going to be successful, or they wouldn't lend you the money. So I think that's a benefit for sure.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that plug. And I think that also is just really important for people who come our way. We want to make sure you have a good deal, that we succeed, but we really want you to succeed as well. I mean, we and Daryl too, and our lenders, I know we work with people who really don't want to fund the deal unless it's going to be win-win for everyone. That money can be made all around, and ultimately that's a long-term formula for success. So Daryl, thank you for those awesome tips. Having a great deal, having a great person makes for a good deal, and everybody's got to win. So we appreciate you being here with us today and your loyalty and long track record working with us and making outstanding loans and helping us grow too. So thank you for being here today.
You're welcome.
Thank you all for being with us and sharing with us in what makes a good loan. So thank you very much.
All right, we'll see you.
Bye-bye.